Hola mi gente, MsMalcolmHughes here, coming with a book review. And the book that we'll be reviewing today is actually Metamorphosis by Franz Kakfa. Hopefully you all have seen the video of the books that I'm currently reading so that you all are aware of what this is about, but I'll give you a short synopsis anyway. Essentially, this book is about Gregor, who is a salesman who wakes up one day to find himself as a horrendous and terrifying bug, a huge bug. It's never actually clarified what type of bug he is. Gregor is unsure for himself. The family never calls it out. The closest we get is a cleaning lady who calls him a dung beetle, but that's never actually confirmed. And the cover of the book does actually hint towards that, but Kafka himself never clarified that and was actually very resisting of the desire to put a bug on the cover. More than him waking up and finding himself as a bug, that's essentially what it is. We get to walk through that and process that with him. We also get to see that from the perspective of his family, who is unaware of the fact that Gregor is still able to hear and understand human words and sentences, even though he is incapable of responding. That's what the book is about and the challenges therein for Gregor and the family. But even though it's such a simple concept, what I appreciate most about, or one of the things I appreciate most about the works of Kafka, is that he gives us these doomed protagonists. And what I mean by that is our main characters, more often than not, are destined for disaster from the onset. And with Kafka, one thing you find is that they're often doomed for disaster because of their inability to act. And I find that so intriguing because what I love about Kafka is that he gives you these stories and these scenarios where you really have to delve and unpack, what does that mean? What was significant about that? Why did you write this story? Why did I read it? And what is it that I actually feel? What do our characters feel, right? And a lot of that is absolutely here. So can you fathom waking up one day, you have your routine, and your goal in life is to provide and care for your family? That's super important to our protagonist. And the translator's discussion of this work, she really argues our protagonist ends up in such a disastrous position because he himself has spent his life providing for everyone else in his life, that he sacrificed himself. So even though he's a salesman, the thing that he's actually sold is himself. It's a big statement to make about our character, but it's not really defensible. I think that that is a valid argument. And so even though our character has his routine, he wakes up and it takes him a while to realize that we have a problem. I can't move, nothing is the same. And eventually once he does, it's so heartbreaking to find that one who sacrificed his entire life for his family, especially his father, treats him in such a deplorable manner. And Kafka does a really good job in his writing, and I guess a part of that could be attributed to the translator as well, is that we're forever and always with Gregor in it. We really get the language of him being in shock. I understood very clearly and distinctly what he was going through. I'm going to read you something. So here is an example. I'll read a short passage. It was simple enough to rid himself of the blanket. He need only puff himself up a bit, and it fell right off. But the rest proved difficult, not least because he was so exceedingly wide. He would have needed arms and hands to prop himself up. But instead, all he had were these many little legs, variously in motion, that he was unable to control. If he tried to bend one leg, it would be the first to straighten. And when he finally succeeded in getting one leg to do his bidding, all the others went flailing about in an unnerving frenzy. Enough of this lying about uselessly in bed, Gregor said to himself. I felt like Kafka did such a magnificent job of making sure that we all had the physical understanding of the challenges that Gregor was facing as this new bug. His inadeptness, his inability to know his body, to know how it functions. And I think that follows throughout. So even as the situation with Gregor becomes even more dire, as his family adjusts or responds, through Gregor, we get to see everyone. We get to see his sister, his parents, his boss, other folks who come into the home. We get to see all of them through his eyes, which gives us a deeper analysis of human characteristics. And it's also very, again, disheartening when you juxtapose that to someone like Gregor, who has sacrificed everything for these people, but how essentially he is regarded without care. And even though he's in this state, his one focus is still his family, still making sure they're okay, desiring for them to understand what his true goals were for them. And I think this book, in my opinion, really causes us to reflect on the nature of human beings. And even that term, metamorphosis, the title, just that changing in some supernatural way. Well, we all, in some manner, metamorphose? We all go through a metamorphosis in life, and we change and transcend over time. But who do we become? What do we shed? What do we retain? How do we treat others? I think this is a critical work that helps us to analyze this today. I've been speaking a lot of Spanish, so sometimes English, it goes out the window. But either way, I think that this is a necessary work. I think that it should be read. It's really short. It's not long at all. It is, the version that I have is, the story itself is 118 pages. A quick read, but a thought-provoking read. And I think that's one thing I always appreciate about Kafka, is that his works always leave me with probably more questions than answers, but necessary questions. So if you're looking for a work that will cause you to really take a critical analysis, have a philosophical debate with, at minimum, yourself, I think that Kafka is great for that. I don't know if I think that this is my favorite work. Actually, I know that I don't. I don't think that this is my favorite work from Kafka. There's some of his other short stories that I preferred even more, but I think it's a worthwhile text. So if I had to say whether or not I think you should read it now, read it when you have time, or read it when you want, I would say read Kafka now, but read this work when you have time. That is what I would say about that. So yeah, that is my review of Metamorphosis. I hope that you all got something out of it. I hope that it causes you to maybe think about reading it, or think about some other texts that you would like to delve into. Let me know down below what you're reading, and if you think I should read it and maybe review it. And until the next one, I am MsMalcolmHughes, one who believes that books are sometimes better than people. Please remember to be kind to each other, to give time, and to have the best day of your life on purpose. Peace.